Okay, now we've had a Brent Augustine, 2003 grad. We'll be talking to you very shortly here.
Yeah.
Moving to the 2000 season, high expectations. You guys had a fantastic summer, I know, with the AAU circuit and traveling around. You got essentially everybody back. What were your thoughts going into that year, Nick?
You know, we'd been talking since, I started playing with these guys in 7th grade when I moved here. And, that was after the first or second year where that was our goal. And we'd come watch a game here, watch Mike Spencer play, dunk it on people. And we're like, we want to be in the state tournament, win the state, And we just knew we had that core, senior year. And like Nate was talking about earlier with the younger guys that were ready to help us out. And I don't know, we had the confidence like you were talking about from playing in the summer together and then playing, the year before together and finishing off like we did. It's just like, all right, we're ready to make that next step.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I think it was pretty exciting year coming in on what we had with the guys, our age, but and also knowing that we had some pretty good players that were, a year or two younger than us too. But yeah, expectations were pretty high, and I don't think we were going to settle for anything less than getting the state and hopefully doing, taking home the title. But a little short of that, but still, yeah, pretty amazing year.
Yeah, state tournament was always the goal. I think you guys remember this. It was our traveling coaches growing up were my dad and Chuck Healy, Andy's dad. I think it was 8th grade when they laid the bet on the table that if we made it to state, Chuck would shave his head and my dad would shave his mustache that he had had for like 25 years.
Forgot
like
about that.
So when we did actually qualify for state, Chuck shaved his head. I think it was actually, so it was there was a regional NCAA tournament. Was it regional or
Yeah, regional.
and so they hired a limo to come pick the four of us up and take us down to the Metrodome for it. And we got there, and my dad walked in without his mustache, and Chuck walked in with a bald head.
Nice.
So state was the goal since 8th grade. Yeah.
Now, you guys lost a piece of the puzzle early on. It was a few years back when Andrews transferred to Hopkins. Was that something that you guys felt was a setback? Was it something that made you angry and more hungry? Were there any feelings, along those lines with that, or was it just move on, we're ready to go?
It wasn't. He was obviously he was a buddy. He didn't hang out with the four of us like the four of us did. We sort of had the and on the court and off the court relationship. And Skoggs was never he was never a big off the court guy with us. Nice guy, but it wasn't like it was. I don't think any of us thought, man, we're derailed now because he went somewhere else. But it was a bummer. I mean, it stunk. He was a good guy and obviously big body, so it was a bummer. But yeah, I don't think it slowed us down.
No, I think there's some element though of wanting to kind of do it without him. I think too, but yeah, so they kind of made it that much more sweet when we ended up, winning the region championship and getting the state, and Hopkins ended up losing and not even making it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's probably some element of wanting to kind of do it without him.
I'm just going to chime in because I actually kind of different what Nate said. I was becoming good friends with him, and I was going to his church with him, and then all of a sudden that happened. It was like, all right, I'm not talking to you anymore. But I wasn't mad. I was like, hey, that's good for you. If that's what you got to do, you got to do. And these guys said, let's just go do it anyways.
Mm-hmm. The other members of your starting five were Andy Healy, who's not here, and then Nick Myers. But you guys had some great pieces to the puzzle to come in and back you guys up. It's Sam Brown. You mentioned Brian Sikora. There's one guy you didn't mention who was a very tough player, was Eric Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
You want to add anything on those players coming off the bench?
I remember when Eric Anderson punched me in the face in practice. Evs didn't say a word. I just walked up and down the sideline. I was going to punch him back, but then I was just pissed because I boxed him out too hard. But that's what I remember from Eric.
Yeah, those guys definitely brought a lot, I think, to our team, having that spark off the bench, and Eric with toughness, and Brian was obviously a pretty great athlete to do a lot of things for us, and and Sammy was great defender, and just all smart players. So they were a huge piece.
I remember the toughness you guys had, and we asked the coaches that question, can you coach toughness, or is it just something the kids have and that type of thing? But practices, I mean, the JV team at that time was very good and stuff. Your practices were always battles. You spoke of one. I mean, you had quite a few of them your sophomore year with Scott Guggenberger and stuff. But do you guys remember the practices and how tough they were?
Mm-hmm.
I remember one in particular I'll bring up, but I'll let you guys talk first.
Yeah, I don't remember anything specifically other than I loved going to practice because it was good basketball, up and down, and there was depth, and it didn't matter who you were running with. It was fun, and we typically played the five of us together all throughout practice. But yeah, we'd go. I remember growing up, like the older classes almost like seemed to want to intimidate you and throw the elbows or do whatever. And for us, it was just going out and just battling for the sake of battling. There wasn't anything personal about it. We just loved going out there.
I remember one in particular. I think it was our junior year, where I think Woj was was guarding me, and he was getting in my face and trying to get under my skin. I remember. I think we ended up on the ground, and yeah, kind of had some words. But yeah, I think it was players like him. He didn't necessarily see the floor much at the varsity level or anything like that, but those are the types of guys I think that were kind of making us better every day.
You guys were extremely competitive. I mean, competitive up and down the line. And another thing I remember too, how you guys embrace each other as teammates. Remember the state tournament, Brian Sikora missed a shot or whatever, and there you are with your arm around him heading into the locker room. And there was a lot of that too. You guys were there for each other. Anything on that? You guys want to comment on that?
Definitely agree, but I also, the one nice thing I was done playing high school basketball, I didn't have Nate yelling at me and telling me what to do anymore. So
Now you got that. Huh? So let's talk about the season. An unbelievable year, 22-3, and anything along I remember the first game at Harding, and I don't know what point it was. It must have been the end of the quarter, and I think Andy Healy threw in like a three-quarter court shot.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yes.
But anything pop up in your mind as the season, wins, losses, whatever, on the year?
I remember one of the biggest ones was here against Kennedy. Was it you or was it Andy that made the final free throw to win? It was you, yeah.
50 to 51, I think the final was.
And I mean, this place was just packed, with people, and we hit that shot to win, and that was just, it was Kennedy.
Yep.
And then being that close of a game was just unbelievable.
Yeah, that was a good one. I remember that. You remember the losses more than wins. I remember losing at Wayzata, which sucked. And I remember Evans laying into us at halftime with that one. I can still. There was like a TV or something on in warm-ups that we had been watching, and I don't know if it was The Simpsons or something, and he said something like "Simpsons aren't on anymore." He laid into us pretty good at halftime. We deserved it because we walked in there a little too casual, and they handed us maybe our first loss of the season.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some other good moments. I remember a couple Myers dunks that we didn't have. I mean, these guys could sort of dunk. I couldn't dunk. But we didn't have dunkers on the team. So to have Myers on the team and Sikora and some dunkers, that gave us a new element. That was pretty sweet.
I had 2 dunks.
I can think of one.
Yeah, the Wayzata game, one of the players he's one of my best friends now. But he never lets me hear the end of that. But yeah, he gave it to us at Wayzata. But I remember like Apple Valley had a pretty good team that year too. I think they were always ranked in the top 5. They ended up getting 3rd in state that year.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I think both times we played them were pretty good battles, and we ended up taking both from them. But those were probably 2 games I remember from the regular season.
Yeah, the one at Apple Valley, I think, was either tied or we were down 1. And Coach Evans drew up just our Bulls set. And I went up to catch it and throw a back door. And like everyone, was it you going back door?
I think I threw the pass to you.
Okay, well, whoever's going back door, everyone went to the back door pass. And then the lane was just wide open. And I just went right down the lane and no one was there. But because they had that with Samerga, was it?
Yep.
6 foot, 8, 9 guy. they're a tough team.
They were a tough team. So we get to regions now. Fast forward to the regions final, Eden Prairie, right? Williams Arena. Williams Arena is a great place to play. What are you guys thinking going into that night? You guys got to have some fond memories playing there.
Well, we were going up a couple of our good buddies and relatives for that game too. So that game to lose to Eden Prairie would not have been good. That's one we would have heard about for a long time. And so that was probably I was probably more nervous for that game than I was for the Tartan game, the state tournament game, just because it was like there's the line we got to get past, and knowing that team so well, playing against those same guys for 10 years, and playing at Williams Arena, which meant a lot. There was a lot of excitement going into that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was my cousin played on the team, and so it was always a battle every game for Eden Prairie. Yeah, so it was still to this day. I was the best man in his wedding 2 years ago, and I brought up that in my best man speech how we shut him down to 2 points that game. And I scored I think 33 and whatever, and so it's kind of fun still to this day to be talking trash to him at family get-togethers.
I think the headline in the Star Tribune was 33 goes for 33, something like that.
But what I remember from that, Coach Evans always talks about, I think I made 17 free throws that game. But I remember is when I dunked on a guy and got an N1, and then he yelled at me and said, "You're going to get hurt doing that. Don't do that anymore."
I think he meant you were going to hurt the basket.
No, I don't think so.
So you guys played all summer with some of those guys too, right? Yeah, they're on your summer.
Yep.
So you got
Yep, two of them.
pretty tight unit. So now we get to Tartan. Okay. Now in this day and age, we seed the state tournament, but essentially that was the 1 and 2 seeds facing off against each other. Of course, we knew of Jake Sullivan, but they had quite a strong cast surrounding him too. Going into that game, I think the game plan was to do everything you could to take Jake out of the game, and we tried. But you guys played a very good game against them. And, your thoughts on that big night?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
from what I remember from that game, I mean, it almost seemed like Sullivan, I think was player of the year. I think he was that year. He wasn't the one that killed us. It was all their other guys that had coming off the bench that were nailing threes, and so I think that was kind of the toughest part about losing to them. Is we felt like we in a way kind of contained Jake, but it was all the rest of their players that kind of stepped up and.
I think they had three Division I guys on that team.
Yeah.
Bay, Crawford, and Sullivan.
Yeah.
There was 7 different guys that had 3-pointers
Yeah, that's what it was.
on their squad, and I did my job. I held Sullivan was averaging 28.8. I held him to 28, so did my job.
Under his average.
Yeah.
There were a lot of bodies that we threw at him, but the course of that game, it was like we would make a run, and then they'd always answer. It was like we make a run and always answer. But I remember how physical it was. It was a very physical game. I remember Nick Myers getting pushed out of bounds on a post feed to start the game. There's no call, so you knew the way that was going to go.
Yep.
I to this day, I don't think I've ever watched the film of that game. I don't remember that game. All I remember is being nervous before that game.
Yeah,
And
tell us about that. You've told me that story a few times.
yeah, I never got sick before a game, but I was nervous going into that game, and like I said, I don't remember much from it, and I don't know if it's because I block it out because that was the end of playing basketball, period. But it was, it was great in there that night, that pavilion, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember coming out of that. We had that locker room underneath the hoop, and warm-ups were like it was just still filling in. And then when we came out, and it was like, Jesus, like it was loud in there.
That was a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
It was just great to walk in there. Any other comments that you guys might have from that year that you might have taken along to college? Stories you tell your buddies.
I'll ask you a question.
All right.
What's your favorite memory from your senior year and your worst memory from your senior year? Oops. Favorite and worst.
I think favorite was definitely beating in Prairie and making it to state. 'Cause I don't know how long it had been since Jefferson had made it to
10 years, I think.
state.
Yep,
Yeah, so I think that was kind of fun to be, that first year. And I know these guys had, some pretty great years after us, but it was fun to kind of set that tone back again, Jefferson basketball. But yeah, and I think probably losing to Tartan was probably, that be the last game of, high school career, and probably the last time that the four of us, seniors were going to play together too. That was tough, but yeah, looking back, it was a pretty amazing experience though.
Favorite and worst?
Same for me, I always think back of that Eden Prairie game. That was, getting to play at Williams Arena and playing a rival team, and I think that ended up being the 6th time in a row we beat them, junior and senior year, right? Didn't we play them in like the first round junior year here and beat them?
Yep.
So yeah, we beat them 3 times junior year, and as Eden Prairie, they're still, if you beat them, that's a big win. And then again, my cousin, closest friend, was playing there too, and beating them at Williams Arena was awesome. And then, like I said, I don't remember the state game because it was such a sad, ending. Not the way we thought we were gonna finish it off, But
they were a good team. My worst was probably, I think, losing to Egan at Egan. Like, we couldn't do anything right. That
That was one of those games, yeah.
It was one of those games, and it was like, God. And I remember getting heckled, and Luke Anderson, he was talking a lot of crap out there, and we were such a better team than those guys, and we couldn't do. And it was just,
Yeah, he was on fire that night.
he was on fire, and it was just everything about it. Just, I got fouled out of that game, and it was just miserable. So I remember that pretty well. But like the off the court stuff with this group was always pretty good. Just messing with you guys at practice and messing with volley any chance we could. that kind of stuff was pretty good humor. Pretending to lift weights, before or after practice.
We have a lot of that stuff.
still going on today.
So that's your best memory? What's your best memory? Come on.
Best memory, from I don't know. There's some great highlights, some great passes. Like I remember guys throwing Zilka's. I remember being half court when Zilka's dunk, because that was kind of like the seal of the game against Eden Prairie. You going up and getting that and one dunk was pretty sweet. Because we were, you grew up at Williams Arena, and we knew that they had these breakaway rims that were it wasn't like our rims here. I feel like they're plastered into a brick wall, and so those rims had some give to it. And we were talking, could barely touch the rim, let alone go up and dunk. But talking about these breakaway rims, and Zilka goes up and hammers it from the side, and you saw the thing
Shaking for about an hour.
peel off to the side. So that kind of stuff was that's up there.
I got to give you my best memory, and it has nothing to do with basketball. And Andy Healy's not here, but we had a timeout. I don't know where we're playing, and Coach Evans always has his stat card there. You guys remember this now?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so he's trying to figure out who we're going to foul.
That Brisbane, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's going through, Wilson, yeah, foul Wilson. He's a 50.64 free throw shooter. You remember what Andy said to him? Turned to look at him and said, "Thank you, Rain Man." I always will remember that. It was just one of those moments that just broke the anxiety of the tension up. So that was a great time.